but leave your worries. Leave 'em on the doorstep. Life's sweet. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Used to walk in the shade with my blues on parade. What a drag, old man, getting stuck in the shade. Get hip, don't be afraid. Move it on over, kill yourself in the clover. On the sunny side of the street.
In the 1930s, Americans heard a distant thunder from abroad. Manchuria, Abyssinia, Austria, Czechoslovakia, the road to war. But they tried to ignore it. Hitler ranted on the radio, strutted on the newsreel screen. Americans didn't like it, but the United States was officially a neutral nation, safely isolated from the world by two great oceans. If the rest of the world was going to be foolish and wicked enough to fight another war, America would stay out. While President Roosevelt tried to prepare the country for what he feared was coming, millions of Americans escaped into a world of make-believe via music, radio, and movies. Until that fateful December morning in '41, when the storm finally burst at Pearl Harbor, most Americans turned a deaf ear to the distant thunder.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free.
Kate Smith introduced this song in 1939, an anthem for those millions who had fled the wars of Europe to seek a new life in a peaceful new world. Adolf Hitler confirmed an American belief that Europe was addicted to war. Here was Europe on the march again.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountain to the prairie, to the ocean, white with gold. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Posturing European dictators did not frighten many Americans, not in the spring of '39.
So, my friends, the time has come for me to announce, with solemnity perhaps, but with great happiness, a fact. I hereby dedicate the World's Fair, the New York World's Fair of 1939, and I declare it open to all mankind.
America's professional optimists had turned a swamp into a technological wonderland. Conceived during the depths of the Depression, the World's Fair presented a dazzling view of a perfect world of tomorrow. At the World's Fair, there was nothing to remind the visitor of what was going on in Europe and the Far East. But on the other side of the world, the imperial armies of Japan were pushing deeper into China.
Grab your coat, don't forget your hat, but leave your worries. leave 'em on the doorstep. Life's sweet. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Hop on that pitter-pat. You know that happy tune is my step. Life's a wreath if you dig that beat on the sunny side of the street.
Never had the lights of Broadway gleamed so brightly. Americans had used swing music in the movies to escape from reality during the dark years of the Depression. Now, in 1939, the big bands played on. It almost seemed that Americans did not know or did not care what was happening in the rest of the world. But every American movie theater showed a newsreel. And the pictures from Germany made most Americans uneasy. No longer was Hitler seen as an insignificant comic figure. Americans could see that he was more than bluff and bluster. Watching the newsreels, Americans had seen that appeasement only strengthened Hitler's belief that the Western democracies lacked the will to resist him. Without firing a shot, Hitler had taken Austria and then Czechoslovakia. Now he threatened Poland. England and France called halt. They told Hitler they would defend Poland if he dared attack. Hitler stopped just short of war. Americans were slow to realize the full extent of Hitler's ambition. It was hard to believe that one man was actually conspiring to dominate the world. In August of '39, Hitler sent his foreign minister to Moscow to sign a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union and make a secret deal with Stalin. Russia and Germany would divide Poland between them. Hitler, confident that Stalin would not interfere with his plans, was now free to set the world's agenda. He was looking far beyond Poland. Earlier that summer, the King and Queen of England visited the United States. Many Americans did not quite trust Great Britain. They believed England had tricked the United States into entering a European war in 1917 and would try to do so again. The royal visit was a stunning public relations success. If war was to come, officially neutral Americans would be rooting for gentle King George and his wife, not for Adolf Hitler. As Europe moved closer to war, the newsreel showed Americans indulging in all sorts of mindless activity. To frighten Europeans, Americans seem to have become even more oblivious to the world's problems than ever. Happy days were here again, but not for all Americans. The Great Depression was far from over. 11 million people were still unemployed. 4 million families were surviving on incomes of $300 or $400 a year. Americans seemed intent on ignoring reality, dancing to songs that made no sense.
The dipsy-doodle's the thing to beware. The dipsy-doodle will get in your hair. And if it gets you, it couldn't be worse. The things you say will come out in reverse. Like you love I and me love you. That's the way the dipsy-doodle works. The dipsy-doodle is easy to find. It's almost always in back of your mind. You never know it until it's too late. And then you're in such a terrible state, like the moon jumped over the cow. Hey diddle, that's the way the dipsy-doodle works.
dawn broke on September 1st, 1939, Adolf Hitler defied Britain and France and changed the course of world history.
Adolf Hitler's all-out attack on Poland makes the long-dreaded European war a certainty. Prime Minister Chamberlain of Great Britain gave the Nazi dictator a 0 hour for withdrawing his troops from Poland.
The King comes to number 10 Downing Street, and this is without precedent. The Prime Minister should go to the palace, but in the dire emergency, George VI violates custom. Inside, there's a fateful discussion. Britain will not back down. The King has given his assent to the final decision of the Prime Minister to resist Nazi Germany. The aged Neville Chamberlain and his wife, on his shoulders the heavy burden, the burden of declaring war.
Up to the very last, it would have been quite possible to have arranged a peaceful and honorable settlement between Germany and Poland. But Hitler would not have it.
6 hours after Great Britain declared war on Nazi Germany, the Republic of France followed. All France is in a maelstrom of activity. The Maginot Line has already opened fire on the Germans. The sparring is ended. World War II has begun.
Let no man or woman, thoughtlessly or falsely, talk of sending American armies to European fields. I have said not once but many times that I have seen war and that I hate war. I say that again and again. I hope the United States will keep out of this war. I believe that it will. And I give you assurance and reassurance that every effort of your government will be directed toward that end. As long as it remains within my power to prevent, there will be no blackout of peace in the United States.
While Hitler overwhelmed Poland and prepared for his next conquest, America went to the movies and tried to mind its own business.
Hooray for Hollywood. That's gooey ballyhooly Hollywood. Where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking pan. And any shop girl can be a top girl if she pleases the tired businessman. Hooray for Hollywood! You may be homely in your neighborhood.
Be an actor, see Mr. Factor, you make your kisser look good.
Go out and try your luck, you may be Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood! Hooray for Hollywood!
Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me.
The throng, seemingly aware of some dramatic climax, sees manager Joe McCarthy present a silver trophy, a token of esteem from Gehrig's own teammates, after which the Iron Horse is prevailed upon to step to the microphones for a brief and final word to the crowd.
Lou Gehrig's muscles had been attacked by the incurable, fatal disease that now bears his name.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
In the United States, if nowhere else, the 40s began with a sense of optimism. America was getting back on the track economically. But to what emerald city or promised land Americans were headed shall never be known. Most Americans, if asked, would have agreed with Lou Gehrig. In spite of anything that was wrong with their country or their personal lives, Americans considered themselves to be the luckiest people in the world. The newsreel showed Americans the savagery of Japanese aggression in China, but China was thousands of miles away across the Pacific Ocean. There was little or no support for Japan in the United States. Americans were shocked and angered by what they saw in the newsreels. Too bad, they said. Thank God it can't happen here.
Hi-ho the radio, radio, radio. Hi-ho the radio. The radio to you, wherever you may go. You hear a radio.
In a car, at a bar.
Makes no difference where you are, there's one beside your bed. In every big hotel. And soon they'll have a radio in every prison cell. With radios and taxi cabs, the driver's life is sweeter. Because it makes the passenger forget to read the meter. They're building model houses now with one in every room. A woman shot her husband to the tune of Love and Boom.
As we look in on Jack Benny and Mary Livingston, Mary is opening a letter she has just received.
Who's the letter from, Mary?
Oh, look, it's from Mama.
Really? And what does the worst years of your father's life have to say?
Every pal you know, your girlfriend or your beau, strike up the band, Bob Hope's the man who ties the can to all.
Ah, thank you so much. How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Bob Hope back once again to tell you it's better to have Pepsodent flowing over your teeth now than to have water running under your bridge later.
I've even got a prettier voice than that famous opera singer, Johnny Weissmuller.
Johnny Weissmuller?
Yes.
He's an opera singer?
Well, sure. The paper says he's a great diver.
Yeah, diver. He probably goes swimming in lily ponds.
Yeah. Oh.
And here it is, the Johnson Wax program with Fibber McGee and Molly.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. This is a wonderful set of tools you give me for Christmas, Molly. I'm just itching to fix something.
Well, just scratch yourself and put that saw away.
The doctor just found that I've been putting on a little too much weight, and have you happened to notice my stomach lately? Notice it? It's been pushing me out in the audience all...
Melody and ballyhoo, music, music from the blue. All it means is notes to you. R-A-D-I-O.
Radio was something Americans shared in common, coast to coast. Now radio reported great events as they were happening far across the sea.
The Nazis are marching ahead at the fastest speed a conquering army has moved in all history. All roads in France are choked with slow-moving masses of refugees. Nazi stupid dive bombers are strafing and bombing thousands of helpless women and children.
Mr. Kaltenborn. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, it seems clearly apparent that the first great phase of the war in the West has been won by Germany. The army of French and British has made a valiant battle in its effort to retreat to Dunkirk, where there is some slight chance that some part of it can be evacuated.
Adolf Hitler's mechanized forces are racing toward Paris as French resistance collapses.
On this 10th day of June, 1940, the hand that held the dagger has struck it into the back of its neighbor.
This is William L. Shirer speaking from the forest of Compiègne, where Adolf Hitler today is handing his armistice terms to France. I can see his face, this grave, solemn, yet brimming with revenge. General Keitel reads the preamble to the German armistice terms. This whole ceremony is over in a quarter of an hour.
Hello, America. This is Edward Murrow speaking from London. Anti-aircraft guns were in action along the southeast coast today. There were more German planes over the coast of Britain today than at any time since the war began.
Americans did not have to wait for the newsreels to see what was happening in England. Radio entertainment had taught Americans to imagine what words described. So the Battle of Britain was fought in millions of American homes. To many Americans, the British became real people, valiant friends under fire who desperately needed American help. Out in the American countryside on a peaceful Sunday afternoon, it was hard to feel in any way threatened by forces overseas. Americans were willing to do what they could to help Great Britain, but not to the extent of going to war. The politically powerful voices of isolation grew even stronger. For them, it was America first, last, and foremost.
The question before the American people is, do they want peace or war? I believe they want peace. The surest way to get peace is to mind our own business.
For us, there can be but one policy. Keep America out of Europe and Europe out of America.
Let Europe fight her own battles. They mean nothing to us. Another war, not for me. This time America should keep out, and I know I will.
But even most isolationists agreed that given the state of world affairs, the United States should at least be prepared to defend itself.
The American peace, which we celebrate today, has no quality of weakness in it. We are prepared to maintain it and to defend it to the fullest extent of our strength, matching force to force.
The state militias were ordered to active duty under federal command. And Congress, under election year pressure, reluctantly approved America's first peacetime draft.
The first number is serial number 158.
1 year later, the bill to extend military service from 1 year to 18 months passed by one vote. One vote saved the Army. Military equipment was either obsolete or non-existent. If the peacetime draft did nothing else, it showed how unprepared America was to defend itself, much less go to war overseas. Obviously, something had to be done.
I asked this Congress for authority and for funds sufficient to manufacture additional munitions and war supplies of many kinds to be turned over to those nations which are now in actual war with aggressor nations. Our most useful and immediate role is to act as an arsenal for them as well as for ourselves.
Japanese envoys arrived in November of '41 to talk about peace. They had not been told that the Japanese Navy was sailing in secret and in silence toward the Hawaiian Islands. The duplicity of the Japanese would soon become a permanent part of the American memory, just as the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor would become synonymous with treachery. The attack on Pearl Harbor ended the great American debate. Isolationism was no longer possible. Its most vehement advocates could see that now. And America was finally united.
From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean,
The Second World War did not touch the continental United States directly. No American cities were reduced to rubble. No invading army landed on American shores. But the war, no matter how distant, shook the United States to its foundations. The Second World War altered every aspect of American life. It changed the way Americans worked and played, even the way they thought. When it ended, nearly 4 years later, the America the GIs had left behind and dreamed of returning to had gone forever.